Hey Stampers, Kim from stampingimperfection.com. Welcome to my craft room. I want to share with you a card that I'm making this week for the Atlantic Heart Sketch Challenge for the week of Monday, May 18th, 2020. So that's for this week. So I'm inviting you to participate in this challenge with us. And I love the sketches at Atlantic Heart's Sketch Challenge. Like, the sketches are always lovely, and a lot of them are just so great that I actually saved them in a digital file on my computer. And when you go there, if you just click on the sketch and do save as, and then save it in a folder of card sketches on your computer, whenever you need a little inspiration, you can go find one of these card sketches that you really liked. And this is actually a really classic card sketch. So this is sketch 369, and you can see here that this did not print very well. I think it probably, the printer's been sitting for 4.5 months, so I think that it probably needs some new ink and maybe a good cleaning. But it looks like there's like polka dots on the bottom, so I always take that when there's a pattern somewhere, that should be pattern paper or an embossed panel or a background technique or a background stamp or maybe some heat embossing. Like, I always do something like that when I see that. Then there's a band across the center, and they have a round mat with a stamped image and a sentiment and then a little bow. I haven't used a bow in a long time, so I'm not going to use the bow on this. And I'm also not going to use that round sentiment. I'm going to do all the parts. I'm just going to change them up so that it's mine. And that's what I like to do with sketches. I like to take the sketch as inspiration. You can interpret it exactly the way it is, or you can take it as inspiration. And I'm using some of Catherine Pooler's stuff. I have this patterned paper pack, and you can see this is a 6x6 patterned paper pack. I almost never buy anything but 6x6 or 8x8 papers anymore. I rarely buy 12x12s, although I did cave and buy some Vicky Boutin in 49th and Market 12x12 papers. I really like 6x6, and I store them in these little 6x6 file folders that go in what's called a fab file. It looks like this, and this is from Totally Tiffany, which is now Crafter's Companion. So it's Totally Tiffany's product, but she just, I think she just sold her business to Crafter's Companion, which is a fabulous crafting store. But she sells these fab files in all different sizes. This is 6x6, and you can see I've got a bunch of different papers in here in these little like file pockets. I love them, and like, I have a shelf right behind me that holds 3 of them, 3 of those boxes that I keep my pattern papers in. So I can slide my pattern papers in here, and then I can put any leftover pieces from the one I'm going to use today. And I really had trouble deciding on this. This is her Salt and Seaweed pattern paper. I considered using this, but I'm picking the Waves because I just retired from teaching, and our school's mascot was a blue wave, so I couldn't resist using that. It just felt right. So I have started stamping and stuff, and I decided I want to add one more image. After looking at the sketch, I decided I want to add one more little image. I want to add this little flower image, and most of the papers in this set, you'll notice, have at the bottom here, she says it goes with green tea, all that jazz, juniper mist. Those are colors in Catherine Pooler's line. So when I pull these out, you can see these are the colors in the paper. And then a couple of the papers had a little bit of lavender in them. That one had lavender, and this one had a little bit of lavender. And I decided I'm going to pull out sugared lavender. So I'm going to use that. So that's what I've been stamping in. So let me put this aside and get this out of the way. I just want to stamp one more little image, and there are two stamp sets that actually coordinate with this paper really well. At least two stamp sets that I have. I couldn't resist this because my husband is a really well-known fishing YouTuber and fishing writer, and this had some fantastic sentiments, but I really liked Hook, Line, and Sinker and Happiness Comes in Waves or Waving Hello. Like, I thought this was super fun, and then of course the shark fin. Who can resist? But I'm not going to use the thing from that. This is called Hook, Line, and Sinker. That's the name of the stamp set. But instead I'm going to use this one, which is called, where is it? It was written on here somewhere. Oh, Refuse to Sink. I don't know. For some reason this really felt right with everything that's going on. I decided this feels right. I pulled out some blue. This almost looks celestial. This might be from Altenew. I'm not sure where this is from. Washi tape. I'm not sure if I'm going to use that. I also pulled out this old burlap jute, which is pretty heavy duty jute from Stampin' Up, and this they sold a long time ago, but I liked it so much because I use it for a lot of home decor projects. So I thought that will be perfect for the anchor project, or that, you know, using the anchor. So I've stamped the anchor in Juniper Mist, and I die cut that because this has coordinating die cuts with it. Then I cut out 2 pieces of seaweed in the green tea. So Juniper Mist, green tea. And then I did the Refuse to Sink in the All That Jazz. And I'm going to do a little floral in the sugared lavender. And we'll see. We'll see how many of those I use. Now you'll notice I have 2 of the Refuse to Sink, and my image did not come out very well at all. The first time I put too much ink on it, and then I pushed it too hard, so that didn't work really well. But I cut out that piece anyway. It's not going to go to waste. And then I cut out 2 more images, because if you've been watching my Technique a Week videos, you know that I like to stack them. So I'm going to stack 4 of these together, all together, with this top one that actually works. So I'll just glue those together. And then I want to create the little flower, so I'm going to, let me do that. I've got this leftover piece here that will work great for this, and I feel like even if I put a little lavender on this, it's going to be okay for a masculine card. But for some reason, Refuse to Sink seemed like just a great sentiment. Plus, I really love, this says, "You are my anchor in the waves and the wind, and hope anchors the soul." Like, I think that's really beautiful. So I'm going to do that. And that looks pretty good. So let me put my MISTI aside. I'm going to pull out my little Altenew Blossom die cutting machine. This is I love this little die cutting machine. It's just wonderful. I've had it since Altenew came out with it, and which has been years now, and I love the thing. They haven't raised the price at all, and it goes on sale. So if I can say anything to you, it's that if you are going to order from Altenew, wait for the sales, because everything goes on sale. And this is kind of a chore to line up this little thing. I suspect I'm going to end up with a bunch of white space here. Around this one. We'll see. If I don't like it, I won't use it. Just cut it out. There we go. And I think since I want to put the jute around it, I'm going to actually pull out the card front piece. So I'm going to just cut this down. This is already cut at 4.5, so I'm just going to cut, or 4 1/4. I keep saying 4.5. And I'm just going to cut it down to 5.5. So this is cut at 4.5 by 5, 4 1/4 by 5.5. Let me just check that because I want to make sure I get that right. So now I'm going to cut down while I have my trimmer out. I'll cut this down. This needs to be 4 1/4. Now I feel for me this is directional. I want my waves to go like this. So I will cut this down like this. And 5.5, so let's say 2 3/4. I'll make it about halfway. So it's 4, this will be 4 1/4 by 2 3/4. Now I'm going to take these pieces, and I do this right away because I'm not that organized. So I immediately, I have this sitting on my desk, we'll put these right back in this, and then this will go in the fab file that sits right behind me. Okay, so I'm going to take this and stick it down. And I'm going to use this new, I got this Barely Art glue, I just got it. And I am pretty excited to give it a try. I think I'm going to put the smaller tip on. It comes with tips. That green one I just took off is the tip for when you're not using it. That's the closed tip, and it just twists on. So I'm using this smaller one because I've got smaller pieces to use, and ooh, this comes out really nice. This is not at all hard to squeeze. So we'll see how it works. So far, I'm very messy with liquid glue. Okay, so I have had a little time to play with it there, which is good. But I don't know how straight that cut o' mine was. Looks a little crooked, but that's okay because I'm going to cover it up. I just want to test this, and I can put jute over the top of it. I don't love it, so I'm not going to do that. Let me just try the jute. I think that'll be good. I think I might put just a line of glue down, or a few dots of glue, because I really want it to be right on that line. And then I'll just cut it off. Just tuck it under. Okay, and I think I'm going to tuck it under with some old washi tape. I'll just tape this down, and I'll pop this up on, I'll pop this card front up on foam so this washi tape won't be in the way. So I'll tape that down. Maybe pull that a little tighter without bending it. There we go. And then I want to make sure this is sitting right along that so you can't really see the seam. And the next thing I want to do is add my anchor. So I'm going to pull a big hunk of foam tape out, and I am going to put this on the back. Okay, so that should be good. And I'm going to cut this down. Now I use these scissors this particular pair for adhesives, and they get gunky. Even though they're non-stick scissors, they do get gunky. So I actually use my adhesive remover, and sometimes a little bit of alcohol on a like a paper towel or a microfiber cloth works really well also. Okay, so I'm going to put this over here. Now I could have made a circle and put that on, but I kind of want to because this calls for a circle. So instead of having this wide band, I just have this band of jute, and then I'm just going to use this instead of a circle. And now I'm going to add these other 3 pieces. So to complete this card, I'm just going to add the rest of the pieces that I stamped and die cut from that Catherine Pooler stamp set. I have 4 of those banner die cuts that I'm going to use, and I'm just gluing them together. I really like how sturdy it makes the banner, and this is the original piece that I stamped first that didn't turn out so well. And I re-stamped it. I just cleaned off my stamp, added ink, and then when I stamped, I didn't push down quite as hard as I had before, and it came out much crisper and clearer the second time. So I'm just going to use some glue dots, and I'm going to use basically 3 glue dots on the back of this, underneath where the points of contact, the 2 ends of the anchor and then the center of the anchor, just to hold this on there. And this card's going to have a lot of dimension, and I like that I've added some natural element there with that jute twine. And I'll add a little bit more later because I decided that I wanted some jute coming off the top of the anchor also. So you can see that part on my blog. But I'm just using a glue dot to hook those 2 pieces of seaweed together, and I'm attaching them underneath that banner. And I decide that they're going to need a little bit of this foam tape to pop them up and hold them up, because when I send this through the mail, I don't want that to bend, so I'm going to give it some support underneath there. And then I'm going to add that little purple piece, just because I feel like it just needs a little pop of something else, and I kind of like the way that looks, so I'm going to add a little glue dot on the back of that. And that's going to complete all the elements that I'm going to add to that card. And I did decide that I thought I might want to add another one of the little sentiments. There's one, Hope Anchors the Soul. I think it's a beautiful sentiment, but I don't want to take away from that anchor and that sentiment I have on there already. I think that's a lovely focal point. So instead, I decided that the only other thing I want to add is some splatters along the top part of that card. It'll look like water splashing. And at first I pulled out my Midnight black ink because that's my go-to splatter ink. But instead I decided to use the All That Jazz and the Juniper Mist. And I just squish them onto my silicone mat. That silicone mat is from Altenew. They have a couple different ones, which is really nice. I spritzed them with water. Now I'm loading up a big round paintbrush that I use just for this purpose, and I tap that on my finger, and I'm just putting 2 different colors there just to give it a little interest. And I'm going to put this aside to dry, which is a step I often forget to do, and too many times I've ruined projects by not giving it time to dry. So I'll just clean up my brush a little bit, and I don't have a sink anywhere near my craft room, so that's super dirty water I'm cleaning my brush with. Time to change that, and a nice microfiber cloth cleans everything up. Now I have the task of removing the backing on this foam tape that I don't love, so I end up pulling out a craft knife. I try a couple different things to remove the backing, and what a chore that was, let me tell you. But a craft knife helped me lift that up. These silicone craft mats are really nice to have for techniques just like this. Okay, so I've removed all of that. I'm just going to plunk this down on the top of my card, and that is going to complete my card. And I could put some sequins or something like that, but I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm going to leave it just like that. So that's going to complete my card for the sketch challenge, and here's the sketch that I started with. You can see not exactly the same. I didn't use a round element, but I've given a round impression. You could use a square element or triangular or a big floral image there. I did not use a bow, but I put some seaweed and a flower there. And I didn't use a big wide piece to go across. I used the piece of jute to go across because I thought it looked like a little piece of rope. And that completes my card. I've got the pattern on the bottom. You can flip this over. You could turn it sideways. Like I could have done this sideways if I wanted to. So when you're playing with a sketch, feel free to flip it, turn it, put this on the right hand side instead of the left hand side. You know, do whatever floats your boat, or whatever feels like the right thing to you at that moment. So be creative, let the sketch be your inspiration to get started, and follow the sketch because usually winners are selected. Now if you don't have a blog, you don't need a blog. You can post your picture on Facebook or Instagram or Pinterest, or there are other things people use too, and you just need to link that picture to our blog. So if you go to AtlanticHeartsChallenge.blogspot.com, I'll put the link below, along with the links for the products that I use here today. And the sketch challenge ends Sunday night, whatever the date Sunday is. So on Monday, the design team votes for the 3 top winners, and you get a little blinky for your blog if you have a blog. If not, you could post it on your Facebook page or your Instagram to let people know that you were selected as a winner. So it's pretty fun. It's just fun to play along. It's fun to see what you can do with a sketch compared to what other people do, because everybody has a different take or twist on the sketch. And this is a pretty classic. Like I said, one of the things that I think is very helpful is that maybe you don't like to save things on the computer. Maybe you prefer, you could save this on a Pinterest board. You could save this, you could create a file in your documents folder or your picture folder and save this in that file folder. So anytime you needed inspiration, you could go there to look through the sketches that you have. You're always free to use this sketch. You know, this will be inspiration, like looking at sketches. This would also make a great scrapbook page. Maybe later in the week I'll create a scrapbook page out of this, because I like the very clean and simple layout of this. Although I would not call my card clean and simple, but I could see where I could use it on a scrapbook page and keep it pretty clean and simple. So that is my card for the week. Thanks for watching. Stop on my blog at stampingimperfection.com. Make sure you give this video a like and share with your friends, and subscribe to my YouTube channel and click that bell so you get notifications every time I upload a new video. Thank you so much for watching.